am. I'm Anita Finley. I'm the host of our ZOOMERTIMES TV, and I'm going to present you with a rose today. I can't give it to you in person, Dr. Jaffer. My wonderful guest is Dr. Mohsin Jaffer. He is the founder of a great organization called Senior Medical Associates, and they have offices all over Broward County. He has a great reputation. He has a great son also. He probably has more sons, but the one I know runs the office, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, there's 6 of you or more than that running your offices.
Oh, doctors. We have 8 of us.
You have 8. Well, you have to put some more people in your ad. Okay, so we have so many subjects that we can cover, and there isn't a subject that I can't ask Dr. Jaffer to talk about that he doesn't know. And I was thinking, when we first decided that he would come back on our ZOOMERTIMES TV, talk about the brain. The brain is really, everything comes from the brain. People have strokes, or they have neuralgia, or they have, whatever they have, the brain functions. So let's talk about the brain. When you went to medical school, what did they tell you about the brain?
Anita, thank you for organizing this show and taking care of our seniors. But unfortunately, the great tsunami that is facing us is a tsunami of dementia and different types of dementia. And of course, we all know about Alzheimer's is the most famous one. But this decline of the mental capacity is a great trepidation for all our seniors. And our President Reagan was a very vibrant man, but you saw how dementia just destroyed a very vibrant person. He was healthy, but his mind had gone. And that was such a tragedy and such a theft. So you asked me a question of what I learned in medical school. That was a long time ago. I've been practicing for 40 years. But what I learned then and what we know now has changed a lot. In those days, we thought the brain developed, and those cells were the only ones that stayed same and static, and you lived with the same number and the same architecture until you died. It declined, but there couldn't be a change. Now we have learned that the brain has plasticity, that the brain can form new cells, can form new connections. So a lot of us will ask, what is a brain really? I mean, it's just an organ. I would look at it in new computer and technical terms as a central processing unit. But it doesn't work alone. You see, we have about 3 trillion cells, but each one of them is in connection with each other. And the brain is the one that orchestrates and has this symphony that it runs and it directs. Like I'm just talking just now, but a thought was created in my brain, and then that thought transferred it to a language and into verbalization, and it moved my lips and my tongues and my breathing and my air to bring out that voice. My hands are moving. You see, all this is organized by the brain's different areas, the motor function, the sensory function, the thinking function, which is in the frontal brain here. So if you study the brain, it is a wonderful computer. We cannot duplicate the brain today. You would take multiple buildings full of computers to even come anywhere close. So our brain is functioning at a lightning speed, and it's processing multiple stimuli and information coming in through my eyes, through my sensory system, through my nose, smell, taste, touch, and that spatial feeling, what I'm seeing around us and I'm perceiving it, the visual ideas coming in, but they are transformed and interpreted in my brain. So I hope I haven't confused your viewers, but the brain is a complex processor of information. And then it acts on the information according to our past experiences and our past knowledge. And we execute it in a physical form or a mental thought or just an idea, which just stays in the brain.
You know, I want to add something to that most people really have never seen their brain. They've seen their arm, their leg, they've seen pictures of their gallbladder and all sorts of things. But I remember once I was working with some of the scientists at Scripps Research. I don't know if I told you this story, but one of the PhDs came and he was talking about something with the brain. And he said, as he was standing there, now, if any of you get queasy, you can leave this lecture. And what he did is he brought a brain out and he showed it to us. That was really shocking.
Yes. The best comparison in nature is like a walnut.
Right, it does. It looks like a walnut. You're right.
Yes, that's right.
But they're all compartments, aren't they? So, I was driving. Now the brain's been on my mind for a lot of reasons. And I was driving the other day on I-95 and I thought, everybody in their cars are driving 70 miles, 80 miles an hour. And it's a miracle that they're driving and they can function.
Yes, yes. We can multitask. We can do so many things at one time. Like you're chewing a gum and walking, just simple as that. Your mouth is doing something, your hands are doing something else, and you're walking and you're balancing. Think about it, so many muscles are required for you to stand up and balance. But who is doing this, orchestrating this choreography? It's your brain, the motor function of your brain. And when I have to move my finger or my hand, so many muscles all the way from my chest to my arms to my fingers are moving and they're coordinating. This is phenomenal, really. And the balancing act, that's why for seniors, 3 things are lost: muscle mass, balance, and flexibility. But balance is all here. And it's your cerebellum that is your balancing and your coordinating area, which makes you stand up well and not fall down. Because if you put a 2-legged man up, he can easily fall down.
True. So Dr. Mohsin Jaffer is my guest. He's founder of the Senior Medical Associates. I'm going to give you a phone number too. So if any of you really want an extra special group of doctors, this is the phone number to call. It's 954-659-9690. 954-659-9690, or go to their website, which is seniormedicalassociates.net. And they have offices in Coconut Creek, Carl Springs, Deerfield Beach, Hollywood, Pembroke Pines, Plantation, Oakland Park, Sunrise, Tamarack, and Weston. They speak many, many languages. But what Dr. Jaffer has is a helicopter, and every day he just takes his helicopter and goes to each one of those centers. I'm kidding, but that's what it must be like.
Our doctors are very well trained. Our doctors are very well trained. We have the same philosophy, the compassionate care, where we empower the seniors to take charge of their own health, because the best doctors they have are themselves. And we have to empower them to take better care of their bodies.
Right. And last time I was on with you, did I give you a rose?
No, this is a nice white rose.
Yeah, so nice white rose. I'm giving it to you because you deserve it. So let's hit on 2 things with the brain. First of all, we know about stroke and know that, and you're going to talk more about that. But the other question I have, because you brought up Alzheimer's. So if we know that the brain is there, why can't we figure out what to do about Alzheimer's?
It's an inflammatory degenerative disease. You see, if you look at we are only successfully diagnosing Alzheimer after death, because then we can do a postmortem. Before death, the MRI will show the shrinking brain, but we don't know exactly what reason. But if you do a postmortem on a brain, you will see it's deposited with a lot of these fibrils, neurofibular tangles, and you have deposits of amyloid. And all this, it shows it's degeneration and inflammation in the brain. And we are finding out, we are desperately trying to find out how to prevent this slow but relentless decline in the brain's architecture and function. So how can you slow it down? And the best way to slow it down is to keep the brain active. I tell my seniors, get away from the TV, read more, do crossword puzzles, do your Sudoku, do your social interaction, talk to people, do things, like I tell my seniors, go to schools and read books to kids. That's one of the best things you can do. Keep your brain function going. Also, what we eat. America eats a lot of processed food. We eat a lot of processed food. We eat a lot of red meats, and all those things are not very good for the brain. Fresh foods and vegetables are very good friends. So like I tell my patients, the best doctor you have is you, but who does the work in your brain? It's your blood. So it's also about the blood flow in the brain. So people who do exercise every day, it could be as simple as walking a mile or two every day will keep your brain functioning much better than people who are absolutely sedentary. And it is very easy as we get old because we have arthritis and we have aches and pains everywhere, and we get lazy and we get chubby and we don't walk. So I would advise you, besides exercising your brain with all these activities, is to do exercise and walking. Walking is the best way to do exercise, to get your blood rushing around.
Dr. Jaffer, expand on that because we hear that. Just go walk. What does walking do?
You see, when you walk, you're using a lot of muscles. And for muscles to function, they need blood. And blood brings oxygen, brings glucose, brings nutrition, takes away the waste products, like you get after a lot of workout, you get stiffness. It's your lactic acid, it takes it away. So it's the circulation that is important. So when you start walking, you're making your blood rush around your body. And when the blood rushes around your body, it heals you, it fixes you, and it rejuvenates you. Because every day we're making new cells. We are not static. Your skin is only 1 month old. The whole skin is changed within a month. Your blood cells, all of them are changed within 90 days. Even your bones are remodeled. So that's the beauty of our body. It's remodeling, it's changing. But it's the blood flow that is your best friend. So walking is the best way to make your blood flow, and therefore rejuvenating you and keeping you healthy and fresh.
I have a dog that I rescued. He was 8 years old. He's now about maybe 10. And I got him with congestive heart failure. And he's doing very well now. But and he sits here and he does well, but then he coughs. When I take him out to walk, he's a different dog.
That's a very good example. A lot of people with medical problems, they feel I should not be walking. Arthritis, heart disease, diabetes. The irony is, the more you walk, the better you become. Now, you can't start being a marathon right off the bat, okay? Right. It's got to be a gradual process. You start a little bit, you walk a block or two. Let's say if I'm very, very sedentary and I want to start walking now, you start with a block or two, take a rest, take plenty of rests, you see? But you'll notice every day you can walk more before you tire or you get exhausted or short of breath. And that's the beauty of your human body. It adapts, it adjusts, and it makes your heart function better. The best gift you can give to your heart and your brain is walking and getting the blood rushing around.
Okay, now let's move on to having a stroke. Talk about what a stroke is and what somebody who has a stroke, what they can hope for, and can they ever recover? And let's just cover that, because I'm sure you do have patients who've had strokes.
Yes. You see, most of our fellow Americans after age 65 will die of a clot in their heart or in their brain. the clot in the heart is a heart attack, and the clot in the brain is a stroke. And very small percentage, it's a bleed. But most of the time, it's a clot in your blood vessel in your brain. Now, the beauty of your blood vessels in your heart and in your brain is that they are end arteries. If this is an artery, my finger is an artery, and it supplies this area of your heart or your lung. And if this artery gets a clot, this area that it was supplying blood to dies. So part of your heart dies if you get a heart attack, and depending on how big the artery was, it's a bigger heart attack or a small heart attack. Same things happens in your brain. These are end arteries. So if the artery gets blocked, that area of the brain starts dying within an hour. That's why they call it the golden hour. So if within 1 hour you can get clot busting drug, then my heart artery opens up or your brain artery opens up. That's why it's very important to recognize a heart attack and a stroke and immediately take that patient to a hospital where they can get this injection of clot busting drug, and they will be as good as new again. But why does this happen is the question. As we get older, our blood gets sticky. So we get sticky, and that's why they recommend, depending, your doctor will tell you that it's a good idea to take a baby aspirin every day. It's not for everybody, but some people have that propensity. Let's say you start getting mini strokes. Your brain scan might show you that it had mini strokes, small strokes, or you have had a heart attack and so on. So your doctors will give you a blood thinner, and there's a spectrum of blood thinner, very mild like a baby aspirin to drugs that really thin your blood. There's a wide spectrum depending on your need. But this may be your best salvation in not getting a stroke, or let's say the next stroke, or when you have got this propensity or you got the danger of getting a stroke, then your doctor will help you prevent it, because prevention is the best answer. Once you get a stroke, that part of the brain dies, then you become paralyzed. And depending on which side of the brain the stroke is, you'll get the left or right-sided stroke. It could be just one arm, one leg, or you can be paralyzed completely, half of your body. And that is so devastating. Stroke is one of the biggest robbers of quality of life in America today. Because somebody could be vibrant and then suddenly become useless.
And you talked about the brain and how it can regenerate itself. And I know some people who, some doctors, professors actually in research, that they've worked with people who've had stroke, and they have been able to, because of plasticity, been able to work on creating new cells there to help those stroke patients.
Yes. There are two things that happen. That's why I tell that either the new cells will form, or the other cells will learn to take over the function of the cells that died. So, whenever I have a patient who has had a stroke, I tell them, do you want to continue your life like this, or do you want to be vibrant again? And of course, the answer is, so I said, you've got to start working with your physical therapist and start walking, start doing all the physiotherapy, and lo and behold, they all improve. The sooner you start your physical therapy and you exercise and you do those things, like you said, new brain cells are formed, or the brain cells take over the function of the cells that died. And slowly the function comes back and they start moving again. Let's say I'm paralyzed in my hand. Suddenly I start getting movement and I get strength back, depending on how many cells have recovered.
So Dr. Jaffer, you're very smart about a lot of this, but unfortunately, a lot of doctors don't really know all that you know. But I'm hoping that when you have someone who's had a stroke or they have Alzheimer's or something, there are support groups out there. And usually someone talks to those people. I know you must believe in support groups.
They help a lot because it gives them, you find you are in the company of fellow sufferers, people who have suffered the same fate as you have in different ways, but they have the similar malady, which is a clot in the brain. And how they cope, their stories help you, and how their success stories give you hope and give you the idea of what to do to improve your status. So these support groups in all aspects of medicine are very, very helpful. And also us as a general population, we must recognize the signs of a stroke. Somebody can't talk suddenly, is not making sense, their words are not coming out right, they can't move certain parts of the body. You must recognize it, because if you recognize it and take action within an hour and up to 4 hours, you save a lot of brain cells. Quick action in America today saves a lot of brains. So we must recognize that ourselves and among us and our friends and family, so that God forbid if anyone is having a stroke, we can intervene in a timely fashion and save a lot of brain.
And you talked about family. So let's say this happens. Someone has Alzheimer's, or beginning, or they've had a stroke. It's a lot of pressure on those family caregivers, and I think we really appreciate caregivers enough.
You're so right. I was just talking to our health officials in Tallahassee that we as a nation, we are one of the leading Western countries, but we are the only Western country that does not have custodial care. And unfortunately, half of our seniors who have Alzheimer's or stroke, who's taking care of them? Their families, their daughter or son or spouse, and they are stretched thin. They do not get help for activities of daily living. And that is very sad, because Medicare doesn't pay for that. Doesn't pay for somebody to come and take you a bath or help you move around. After your physical therapy has reached the maximum benefit, they stop. They stop coming to your home when they can't do anything more. So unfortunately, the burden is left on the family, and it is a very big burden, and it's very painful for the patient and for the family. Because if I was a very vibrant person and suddenly now I can't walk and I'm half paralyzed, and I'm doing my poo and pee in bed, it is horrible. It is, I need more help. And I hope our nation moves towards that one day, where we can provide this custodial care, so we reduce the burden of the stress on the family, hopefully.
Right, and it's true. And I know some people like this who are the caregivers, and they're going to be sick. They just can't keep it up themselves. And then, so now it's almost like an effect of downstream. I mean, it's very sad. So you're right. A lot of us were able to get long-term health care insurance, which provided that, but it's gotten very expensive. And
Yes.
I'm even considering dropping mine because it's hard for me to pay for it. But I know it's a mistake, because
Yes.
families, and then there are no families there. Everybody doesn't have a family.
No. And a lot of people have families, but they disown them. They do not come in for whatever reason. They can't make it. They can't come, and the patients are left alone. And loneliness is another great tragedy in America. Most of our seniors are lonely. They don't have, you see, in the olden days, we had multi-generational families living together. Grandpa was at home, and grandkids interacted with him or her.
Right.
And there was
Right.
this connection. And it was just, you never died in a nursing home. You stayed at home and you died in your own room, in your own house.
Yes.
But that
You're absolutely
connection,
right.
that multi-family structure has gone away today.
No, you're absolutely right. And the other part of it, you may want to take care of a family member, but you have to work. What do you do?
Yes.
And I think that teenagers, I think that there are many high schoolers who could use a little extra money, and they're very nice. And I
Yes.
don't think maybe we need kind of a core of something like a whole new name of a group of teenagers who want to be able to help people who've never had grandparents, and we just need to have things like this. You always say the right things when I have you on the show, and I just want everyone to know who you're listening to. This is one of the best doctors in the world, actually. I just have such a great fondness and respect for him. And it's Dr. Mohsin Jaffer, and he's the founder of Senior Medical Associates. And they have offices all over Broward County. Wherever you live, there's an office. Their phone number is 954-659-9690. And their website is seniormedicalassociates.net. So, Dr. Jaffer, you really are an extraordinary physician, and I don't know how you got that way. I guess was your father a doctor?
No. My father was a businessman, and I broke the mold. My family, nobody in my family was in medicine. But I fell in love with the idea of medicine when I was a toddler because I got a doctor's kit from one of my father's friends who was a doctor. And since then, I want to be nothing but a doctor.
So you played doctor, right?
That's right. As a kid, I played as a doctor, yes.
Yes, and you have a wonderful son, of course, who's Mohammed, who runs your office, and you have other children?
Yes, I do. I have a daughter who just gave birth to a little princess. So I just became a grandfather, yeah.
First time?
First time, yes, indeed.
Oh my goodness, does she live here in South Florida?
Yes, she lives here on Fort Lauderdale, yes.
Oh, you must be so thrilled. You and your wife must be going crazy.
Yes, it's just 1 week now, and we are celebrating that. So
that's good.
And then I have another son who's older than Muhammad, is Ali, and he's just married too.
And so what is your new grandchild's name?
Mila.
Mila,
yes.
Okay. We'll have to keep on track with that one. You'll have to get her on Facebook. Well, Doctor, we've just running out of time, Dr. Jaffer, and we thank you so much. And I know I'll have a lot more to do with you, but thanks for being who you are. Really appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being a bastion for our seniors. God bless.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.